Welcome to the podcast where relationships, confidence, and determination all converge into an amazing, heartfelt experience. This is Speaking from the Heart.
Welcome back to episode number 27 of Speaking from the Heart. Today, we're going to talk about the final service that my business offers that helps anyone, no matter where you're at in the world, to become better at what you provide. And I think that is the underpinning of what all of society requires us to have in order for us to function moving forward. And that is business coaching. Business coaching isn't just limited to just corporations. I'm actually talking about nonprofits. I'm talking about small businesses. I'm talking about any type of entity that is having any sort of solution that they need to have in order to overcome a problem that they might need to overcome, especially if they're going through some tough times in their growth and in their development. Being that I have been in state government for over 13 years, I've had the opportunity to work with businesses of all sizes in a variety of different capacities, and know that from the side in which I view this as, being able to see what businesses go through often means taking a look underneath the hood of what they are essentially going through. In other words, it isn't just about finding the problems that might exist, but finding the best solutions that help to address what might actually be transpiring. Because problems aren't necessarily the word that I want to use in the context of this discussion today when talking about the services that I offer. Problems come from all shapes and different sizes, and they often might have some difficulty in being able to be categorized in such a way that really fits what sort of things need to be done in order to fix whatever the situation is. Instead of using the word problem, however, I would like to use the word context. Because having the business context of what is actually transpiring can help us to understand what might need to be the path moving forward. Now, this isn't just your run-of-the-mill problem-solving one-stop shop here at Your Speaking Voice LLC. It's actually about understanding what could be the ways in which we move forward while still obtaining the mission and the vision and the values of what you go through. And just like any good business, my business will always have some sort of problem because we're trying to always redefine what might be the possible solution that we need to address, or should I say, the context. For me especially, understanding what it can be to address whether I'm having accounting issues, legal issues, or having some sort of internal strife that's causing me to have these problems in the first place, oftentimes means addressing the undertone of what is actually happening in the first place. In other words, understanding what causes those contexts to occur might help us to get to the root of ways in which we can create solutions. I think that we oftentimes overthink the problems or the contexts that we have so that we are always spending so much ridiculous time trying to solve something that might not need to be solved, because it isn't just about what you might view as the context, it's what everybody else views as the context. A perfect example of this is even some of the things that I have seen in state government over the last 13 years that I've worked have included things that maybe might be normal for some people that are really attuned to what happens in government in general. But it isn't just about dealing with what is happening all the time. It's about understanding what some of the things are that are motivating those contexts, whether the people are saying things, whether they're doing something that might not be attuned to what other people are seeing. Oftentimes, it goes to the root of what this is really all about: communication and leadership. Communication, especially in an organization, is truly important so that you're able to have not only the parameters of what you're trying to achieve, but you have a set of processes and procedures that will help you guide that employee or employees along the way. It also means understanding, too, that even if you're just one person, having an outside context that helps bring in a different thought or perspective can help radically change what those problems or contexts are and create some of the best solutions that are out there that we often don't think about. when we're thinking about the fact that growth is so important to be able to have those options available to us, we often have to look to the outside lenses of what we're actually going through or understanding so that we can be able to move the needle forward. I think for businesses, especially that have problems, oftentimes do not see because they have what I like to call groupthink. And I see that happen, especially in agencies within the government that might have this one thought of how it always has been done, but is not willing to expand upon what are some other ways to do it. And it doesn't mean that it's a bad idea, maybe because there's some sort of regulation or some sort of thought process that's involved with having some of the things that we are working through. But we also have to understand that businesses have to focus on what we can do to help coach to get to that other side, which often might involve a variety of different tools and solutions, which my business provides. It isn't just about the ideas that we can generate to help solve those problems, or even the ways in which we take tactfully the way that we move forward, but it's about understanding and learning through the coaching business how we can achieve success by being able to learn from peers and be able to apply it into a new solution. I think the best way to talk about it without being so theoretical is to talk about an example that even I have gone through when it relates to these sort of problems. For me, especially as I've started out this business, one of the biggest things that was always a problem was making sure that clients that were interested in approaching me had the right methodology of learning about what my business is all about. And I was one of those people that was so paper oriented, having these questionnaires, having them fill out all these different forms. And then I realized that the client just wants to get a solution. Why am I burdening them with more paperwork, more information, and having them to explain themselves all over again when I can just meet with them face to face and have those questions answered? I changed radically the way in which I even did business early on after I realized and received some great advice from a mentor of mine that allowed me to understand that maybe the way that I was doing it wasn't always going to be the best way that I should approach it. Because although I wanted to get all this information, the way in which I was doing it was not conducive. Retooling or relearning how we do these things is so vitally important so that we are able to grow, especially when it comes to sales. Another prime example of this is even getting the word of mouth out about my own business. Truthfully, it's very much a struggle to sometimes get the word of mouth out, even with all the vast channels of social media at my disposal. But learning the ways in which I can incorporate my messaging, even through this podcast, which I've been doing throughout the last several episodes, detailing what my business is all about, has shown me that there are a wide variety of different ways in which we can communicate the same message, but not always relying on the same traditional channels. By being able to be more diverse in the ways in which we provide offerings and being able to achieve the same effective result, it has allowed me to grow and be able to become more recognized in the bigger world. But it doesn't always mean that sometimes those same solutions that work today are going to work in the future, which is something else I provide, which is actually evaluating what businesses are currently doing after gathering all the information that's necessary and providing an assessment of what can be done to help change course or give recommendations. Again, just like any other coaching relationship, although providing my perspective does mean that the other side has to embrace it just as much so that we're able to move from where those best solutions are, but to be able to embrace what the solutions are being provided that are on the table. Because of the ways in which businesses operate, and especially the type of business that you have, it could certainly make a big difference in the ways in which we're able to communicate effectively and lead effectively as well, so that we're able to go in the direction that we thought we were going. Being able to embrace change, especially when it comes to this sort of subject matter, is truly important to understand and communicate effectively, because if you're not understanding that, especially with the person that is making these decisions to implement the changes, everything will fall apart. Which is why I always give tips and suggestions when it comes to these sort of aspects, to help learn and engage in the ways in which we can make substantial growth occur, not only with the person that is leading that change, but also the ones that have to implement or follow along with it as well. This is why it's so difficult sometimes for businesses, even after providing recommendations, to embrace those sort of changes. And I've even seen with some individuals, especially as I venture into this new world, having that difficulty sometimes of wanting to embrace that change because of the potential red tape or even the bureaucracy that might be involved. When we take a big step back from what we've been actually doing and looking at it at the lens of which we are able to accomplish things, the world radically changes because of the ways in which we're able to make and systemically change the thought process that goes along with it. And that's what this is really all about, is changing the thought process and thinking about ways in which we have never explored before so that we are able to then be able to do what we were set out to do in the first place. Seeing that growth is not only important, but being able to embrace the context of that new change is why this is so important at its heart and at its core to be able to implement successful change. For the longest time, I have always believed, especially when going through school and learning about the ways in which businesses are formed and then managed, had to be done in a certain way. There always had to be a methodical set of steps. But that's the academic in me that was once talking. Now that I have real world experience that I've been able to apply over the last several years, I've noticed that there isn't one clear cut solution to every single problem. Everyone feels that it's about feeling comfortable about change. That's what's really important. Being able to embrace what you're able to do, to be able to see and say what is on your mind, to be able to have a participation in the solution that needs to drive the direction of the business, all contribute to the different types of ways in which an organization moves forward. But I would struggle to even say today that that isn't always the case. We need to be able to embrace in this radically different world in which is always changing because of the rate of which technology has grown, which I even talk about with my professional development coaching in the last episode when we discussed my professional development opportunities that are available to clients. This is all about understanding not just what you can do personally, especially in the ways in which you can enhance your quality of skill sets and knowledge and abilities, but it's about understanding with full conviction and trust that you have something that you can share with others. Not only is it about you, it's about everybody that's involved. Being able to understand and gauge what is important, especially with the people that you're going to be implementing this change with and the people that are affected, means understanding the culture of the organization. Context is why everything starts with just that one word. Because if you understand the context in which you're trying to change and you learn a little bit more about what is actually involved in the first place when it comes to that change, you can certainly make strides and differences along the way that allow you to create some of the coaching opportunities that will help you at all levels of the organization. It's not just about setting goals in this example, but it's about also implementing the ways in which you will deploy those sort of tasks. That's something that we offer as well as part of the business coaching format. You have to understand to implement that change requires also getting everyone else on the same page. Because isn't that what this is all about? Being able to change. I think for many of us, especially with all the services that I provide, even in the past episodes that I have shared this with you throughout the summer months, have shown to you that there's a lot that we can provide here at Your Speaking Voice LLC. No matter if you're an individual or you're a company or you're something in between, you have the opportunity to change everything about what you're doing and provide a perspective that otherwise wouldn't be provided if it wasn't for somebody giving you advice and helping you to understand where you're coming from. Whether that's preparing for your next interview, having your resume written, maybe even getting some life coaching and public speaking coaching along the way. being able to professionally develop yourself, or even change the model of your business as a whole. All of these things contribute to the voice that we have. And I think that's why it's so important to not only establish the great relationships with people so that you're able to institute that change, but you have the confidence to lead forward in making those changes in your life with determination and the support of someone like me, a coach that's willing to have your back every step of the way. With somebody like that, especially when it comes to business coaching, not only are you changing the problem that you have or the context, you're helping yourself create the best version of everything that you could ever imagine. Not even just your voice, but the way that you enhance where you currently are today and moving yourself to the future. Because you are the guiding lights of the world. It doesn't matter where you are at in the organization. It doesn't matter what you are within your own personal or professional development. It doesn't matter if you need to be polished a little bit more when it comes to your resume or even your interview technique. All it takes is for you to realize that you have all these wonderful skills to share to the world and that you're able to change where you're going. And if all you're able to do is be able to say that you want to make that change, no matter what situation it is, I'm willing to work with you. If you're willing to say that you're able to do what you need to do in order to create the best version of yourself, I'm ready to sign you up. But more importantly, above anything else, if you're willing to carry forward something that systemically changes you for the rest of your life, let alone the trajectory in which you want to accomplish, you are going to be the best version of anything the world has ever seen. And to me, that means so much to not only coaches, family members, professional development people, or any other group for that matter. It means that you are the shining star that everyone else wants to look up to. And for that, money will never be able to buy that. And I think that for many of us, money is no object when you have that kind of success going behind you. All it takes is just changing your mindset. Thanks for listening to episode number 27 of Speaking from the Heart, and I look forward to hearing from your heart very soon.
Thanks for listening. For more information about our podcast and future shows, search for Speaking from the Heart to subscribe and be notified wherever you listen to your podcasts. Visit us at www.yourspeakingvoice.biz for more information about potential services that can help you create the best version of yourself. See you next time.